You are welcome to News Arise Daily. Here this morning we have the political analyst, Mr. Mike, here with us, and basically we want to look into the river crisis. 2 days ago, or thereabout, we saw Nelson Wike, the federal minister of the capital territory, having a meeting with the suspended lawmakers, the river suspended lawmakers, and we want to hear from you, sir. Do you think that Wike is actually having his way by having meeting with these suspended lawmakers in the UK?
It's not even about having his way. I think what is happening is a clear indication that the Wike is at the center of the crisis. Because if you look at what is happening, normally Wike is a former governor of that state. He has no any role to play in the political happenings of the state currently. But that does not take away the fact that he's from that state. But going to outside the country to host the suspended lawmakers, I think for me, is an indication, an endorsement of the accusation that he is at the center of the crisis.
Okay, and don't you think that come 2027 governorship election in the state, that these people will actually work for Wike, and that will make the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu to win River State?
They will always want to work for Wike, but for me, that is not an indication that a Tinubu will win River State. We have seen in the past, and I think history is about to repeat itself. Because when they did the election in that state in 2019, when Wike needed to come back for a second term, the power that be at the national were against him. We saw how the people of River State supported the Wike and they resisted with their blood. To the point that a returning officer of PDP, who was a lecturer then, was shot dead by the police. I think the Wike administration then gave the family about 200 million for compensation. But the way it is, we are talking about the people that is against godfatherism. I thought by now our democracy have evolved beyond godfatherism, because before now we used to have the strong man of Ibadan politics. Talking about Adedubu, we used to have the Kwara, the Saraki of Kwara. We used to have, though currently we still have a Tinubu dynasty. But in South South, I must tell you, the people do not submit to godfatherism. And in 2007 election, we are going to see a repeat of 2019 in River State, where the people will resist anything in position, anything godfatherism, and vote their conscience.
But do you think that that will actually repair, or that will reoccur based on what the president has done, removing the elected governor, Simbra Fubara, and installing or putting in charge the administrator? Do you think that that is going to be a way of winning that state by fire by force?
Removing the elected governor, the House of Assembly members, and imposing a state of emergency, bringing a bus, that thing is still a subject of litigation. As we speak today, the 11 governors of PDP, through their respective attorney generals, already approached the Supreme Court to decide whether by virtue of Section 305 of 1999 Constitution as amended, that empowers the president to impose state of emergency, extends to the president removing an elected governor, or rather suspending an elected governor and elected House of Assembly members. That we are waiting for the Supreme Court to decide. Though we are seeing condemnation here and there before the claim got to Supreme Court. So since it is already a matter pending before Supreme Court, I think we should allow Supreme Court to take decision. But however I look at it, local luminaries, professionals, everybody have condemned what the president did. And again, if you look at the actions of the sole administrator, talking about Admiral Ibas, retired, he is dismantling every political and democratic structure in that state. People who have seen as purely undemocratic action, and this is doing, and it looked as if he's taking directive from the SCT minister, because everything he's doing is in tandem with the ideology and what they believe in.
Yeah, and of course, on to what you say, don't you think that that is a clear indication that this the administrator is working towards the 2027 presidential election in favoring the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
He may be working in favor of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, but the point is the people are not the kind of people you deal with in that manner. You are talking about people who are not, who their ideology is against godfatherism. Godfatherism is alien to them. We have seen it play out in the past, and we're going to see a repeat of it. It is irrespective of the position of the president. It is irrespective of what the civil administration decide to do. But when it comes to when the power to hire fire comes, talking about the election proper in 2027, I think the people will let him know that you cannot buy our conscience. We saw it play out in 2019.
Yeah, but are you saying that the election in this country has been free and fair? If that is the case, then we all know the result of the election. But if the election has not been free and fair, then we should all believe that the 2027 presidential election will favor Bola Ahmed Tinubu by putting administrator in that state to control the affair.
I'm not saying Nigeria election is free and fair and credible. That is not the point I'm making. But I'm saying in the face of the manipulation and rigging, we saw river people resisted it and they had their way and their candidate won. They resisted with their blood. I even cited an instance where a lecturer then was shot there because he resisted rigging. So the people knew, or rather they know, that it takes some effort to resist rigging. They did it in the past and I think they will do it again.
But the people knowing clearly who the Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, that the blood of Nigerians is nothing for him. So do you think that anybody who wants to actually face the security personnel being harmed and they want to die in order to actually have their way, do you think that people want to die because of having the election to be free and fair?
It depends on what you mean by people wanting to die. I gave you an instance of a man who resisted rigging and they shot him. It's about standing on your rights. We have seen instances of people who did similar things in the past. Godfatherism is alien to the people. The people do not submit to godfatherism. We have seen them did it in the past. If you are talking about maybe southwestern part of the country, yes, to an extent, they are still dealing with it. They have not been able to overcome it. But in the south side where I come from, I'm going to tell you that they do not submit to godfatherism. I'll give you an instance. Look at Delta State. A former governor of that state, talking about Udua, ruled that state for 8 years. As we speak, Udua have not found his feet. He have not been able, he's not able to win senatorial election in that state. We are seeing Ibori, who already established a political dynasty, but currently that dynasty has been dismantled. Even as Okowa is cutting the short, sooner or later you see that Okowa will fade away. So the people do not submit to godfatherism. Even the River State we have seen, Wike is not the first governor of that state. We have seen about 2-3 governors who governed that state before him. Nobody is holding to power after leaving power. It's not working in that region because that strategy, that ideology is alien to the people and the people do not like it.
But are you saying that Fubara will not eventually submit or condescend or accept the thing that the president and Nelson Wike, the federal minister of the treasury, has been thrown away to it? Do you think that he will not eventually accept their bidding based on what they've done by putting in charge of the affair the administrator in the state?
Fubara made it clear before now that he would prefer to break rather than bend. He has made it very clear, and I don't think he's ready to go back to from that. And we have seen Fubara from an ethnic nationality talking about the job who are resolute in what they believe in. But as it stands, Wike is not the governor. He has ruled that state, rather than governed that state for 8 years. And as we speak, the person who has been elected to govern that state is Fubara. So if you think you have power to manipulate the system and the position of emergency, we are still waiting to see what the court will decide anyway. But whichever way it goes, if Fubara have made it very clear that the worst will come to the worst, he will leave that seat. I don't think he's ready to bend. He would rather break.
Yeah, but he recently said that it was depressed. What could you deduce from that statement?
Anybody can be depressed as a result of circumstances surrounding him, but that does not mean that he will go back to his vomit.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Matthew, the political analyst. I want to tell you, Nigerians, that you should subscribe to News Arise Daily in order for you to give you back-to-back happenings in the world of politics in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much.